Governor, I wanted to have you on today because Secretary Mayorkas went to the border. I talked about this with Jim Banks. The border is wide open. 2 million illegal immigrants entered the country last year. Fentanyl is pouring in. You called on Secretary Mayorkas to resign. Why?
Because he's not doing his job, Hugh. He went to the border for a photo op. He was confirmed over a year ago. He doesn't call the governor. He doesn't call the congressional delegation. He has the border agents actually turning their back on him in the meeting because they know that he's just checking a box on this trip. Let's get a Homeland Security Secretary that actually cares about the border. We know that John Kelly and Christian Nielsen felt that way. I'll tell you, even Jay Johnson in the Obama administration was paying attention to this border. For whatever reason, Joe Biden and the self-appointed border czar, Kamala Harris, this is just a continuing laughing matter. I don't think they think the people of America are watching, but they are. But what's more important than the bad politics of this is the bad policy. Fentanyl is streaming into our country. When you hear that high school or college kid in Toledo, Ohio, or Omaha, Nebraska that overdosed, that dangerous drug came over our southern border, not to mention the illegal immigration and things we'll have to deal with, the people we don't even know that are coming into our country. So Secretary Mayorkas is not serious about this issue. It's time he steps down.
So, Governor Ducey, what do your state police tell you about how fentanyl gets in? My understanding is, unless you have a physical barrier with high-tech searchability, the cartels simply have too many ways to get the stuff across the border, and it's just deadlier than anything.
Well, we have a border strike force, and what they tell us is that the cartels use the human trafficking as a diversionary tactic to overwhelm Customs and Border Patrol and ICE so that then the drug runners can bring the fentanyl in. And yes, a grain of fentanyl can be deadly in and of itself. And there's thousands of pounds, 10,586 pounds of fentanyl that have come into this country in the last year. That's what we've interdicted, Hugh.
That is the leading cause of death between 18 and 49 is overdose. It's a fentanyl-based, it's like makes the heroin problem of years past seem like a blip, or the crack cocaine seem like a blip. So good on you, Governor Ducey. Let me turn to the second subject. You, as the chair of the Republican Governors Association, you threw a lot of effort into getting Glenn Youngkin elected, and Governor Youngkin's doing a great job. He's taken a page from the Ducey playbook about schools. What are you doing in Arizona about school districts that are continuing to make elementary school children mask, despite the science that there is no science? Nobody knows if it does any good whatsoever, and it does do harm.
Well, first I want to say I'm at the first RGA meeting of the year, and we are very proud of Glenn Youngkin. He's going to do so much good for the people of Virginia. I think he's off to a very fast start. I give him a lot of props and credit for leading right out of the gate on what he ran on. And I think if you talk to nearly any Republican governor, they see masks as an optional policy. If that's something that parents want for their child, then they're free to put the mask on. But these mandates are wrong, and they're hurting our kids. There's been way too much focus on masks and not enough focus on math. We are going to have masks optional in the state of Arizona, meaning if you want to wear a mask, you're free to do that. No one's going to stop you from doing that. But we're going to focus on catching our kids up. We're actually going to launch a summer camp at the end of this school year. Then all of our kids, get them in these flexible classrooms with great teachers so we can focus on math, reading, science, and American civics, eliminate the learning loss that has happened. But let's get kids back in classrooms. Let's get teachers at the front of the classroom. We're going to make sure this happens in statute this session, but we want our kids caught up.
So let me talk to you about the initiative you undertook, Governor Doug Ducey. When remote learning loomed as Omicron spread wrongly as an option, you issued an edict. Would you tell people about that?
Well, Arizona is the number one school choice state in the nation. We're very proud of that, Hugh. We have over 500 charter schools. Charter schools are public schools. They're public schools with private management. We gave the option and the opportunity for children, if they wanted to find a classroom that was going to remain open, that they could go to that classroom. If a public school shut for even one day, they could take the educational dollars applied to their education and apply it for tutoring, tuition at a Catholic school or private school as necessary. We just wanted to make sure that kids that wanted to be in a classroom and parents that were going to get them to a classroom would have a classroom that was open and available to them, and that will continue on. We also provided dollars for transportation. Oftentimes the problem is there's a school available to a child, but they can't get to that school. We put money in, and we're going to expand that this year. That's what real school choice is. That's what real open enrollment is that parents can find the school that's best for their kid.
Now, Governor Ducey, did that have the impact of deterring school going remote? Because across the United States, there are districts that are going remote and nobody knows about it, even though it is widely condemned among education experts as having extraordinarily high costs, as are masks increasingly condemned on elementary school students at least. But what was the impact of your announcement on Arizona teachers unions and Arizona public schools? Did they draw back from remote learning?
I've been told that did deter remote learning, that did deter school closures. We still have just some bureaucrats out there, Hugh, that continue to play games. The union plays games every single day. We've got a lot of good people inside our school system that got involved in it because they wanted to help kids and teach kids. But it seems like the loudest are the activists. And they're always looking for this opportunity. They're taking what happened during the pandemic and trying to leverage it. And it's not helping our kids. It's not helping parents that work for a living. And that's why we're doing everything to battle back and arm our parents with the resources which they've earned through the tax system to apply to educate their children.
Do you think you called on Secretary Mayorkas to resign? I am calling on Dr. Fauci, Dr. Walensky, and Jeff Zients to go. Is there any way Joe Biden can reset? I mean, he is in truly unfathomable negative territory, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution yesterday, with a disapproval rating above 50%, strong disapproval rating above 50%, an approval rating of 32%. You're the chair of the Republican Governors Association. You know what those numbers mean. He's failed.
Well, it's a failing presidency. There's no doubt about it. I think if you look at the red states across the country, you can see Americans vote with their feet. They are leaving these failing policies. Hugh, you know this. Ronald Reagan said that if the Pilgrims had landed on the West Coast, they would have never bothered to discover the rest of the country. Yet there is this mass exodus from California. People are coming to places like Arizona and Texas. So Joe Biden seems to be following the policies of Muriel Bowser here in Washington, D.C. This is where the meeting is. The city is locked down. They've crushed small businesses. There's vaccine mandates. There's mask mandates. And you really ask yourself why she continues to do this. And that seems to be the Biden vision. There isn't much of a plan. There was what we saw in Afghanistan as a failed retreat. No clear policy on Ukraine, this rising inflation. So even in a growing economy, Americans are actually making less money. And then, of course, for Arizona and really for the rest of America, this crisis at the border. This isn't just a Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, California problem. All of these dangerous drugs and poisons coming across the border are infecting our schools and our neighborhood. So Joe Biden and his team have got to get their act together, but it doesn't seem like he's picking the right people. Dr. Fauci's become such a polarizing figure. When you become a polarizing figure as a leader on health guidance, you probably need a new figure. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be up to him to reset. Yeah.
Now, Governor, 2 points, political points to close out here. First of all, you've got to tell whoever your executive director is, the poor person has scheduled a meeting in Washington, D.C. in January. You're going to get a foot of snow today. So I'd go talk to your executive director and say, you got to get more practical. We really should be out in the West in January, not in the Beltway. I don't know who you've got in that job, but really you got to talk to them about that. But number two, which states look good for Republican pickups this fall in the governor house, in the state houses?
So in terms of the Republican Governors Association and those races, we always protect our incumbents first, We keep our red states red. And Hugh, never has there been a greater contrast between Republican leadership and Democrat leadership. So there's a lot of states that are on the map to turn them over. So we're very much on offense. You can look at states like Maine, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kansas, New Mexico, and Nevada are all on our target list. So we've got a lot of supporters in town for this meeting. People are very excited. They think that people like Gretchen Whitmer have earned the right to be removed from office because of her bad policies during the COVID era, and we intend to maximize that.
Governor Doug Ducey, always a pleasure. As your bell lap begins as governor, what's the big, the last question, what's the big must get done in your last year as governor of Arizona?
Well, it's not just one thing, Hugh. We want to keep our tax cut. You know, we had the largest tax cut in Arizona state history. We've got the lowest flat tax in the nation at 2.5%. We're going to surge resources and additional personnel down to the border. We're going to secure Arizona's water future for the next 100 years, and then we're launching a summer camp this June, July, and August to get our kids all caught up, and we'll do all that. We'll leave $1 billion plus in the rainy day fund, and the state will have never been healthier financially.
A great 7 years with the 8th year bell lap coming up, Governor Doug Ducey. I'll be in Arizona next week moderating a couple of debates. I hope I see you, Governor. But remember, go find whoever it is that runs RGA and just tell them you don't want to come to D.C. in January. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get to the meeting today. It's like 1.5 feet of snow or something like
Come
that.
on, Hugh. You're from Cleveland. I'm from Toledo.
Well, I
We'll
know.
get to the meeting.
We know how to do it, but those poor people from the South, they struggle and they fall down. They can't clear the streets. It's Bowser's D.C. Well, good luck, Governor. Good luck, Governor Doug Ducey.